everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alycia and I'm a pastry chef with a severe sweet tooth. And I'm here to show you how to make the best keto desserts possible. So if you enjoy these recipes, please consider hitting the subscribe button, giving the video a thumbs up, leaving me a comment, and sharing with all your friends. It all helps my channel grow and to bring you new keto desserts almost every Saturday. Today, you are going to be seeing the last video I shot while I was still pregnant, almost exactly a year ago. I think I shot November 2nd last year. I have redone that recipe since, so I have a lot of notes in the video, and I really definitely had pregnancy brain. So there's a lot of things I didn't mention in the video that I put in little paragraphs throughout the entire video. Hope you guys enjoy. Now, let's blast to the past. Hey guys, coming at you today with another apple dessert that sold super fast at my bakery. And it was something I just kind of threw together on a whim. I had chayote squash on hand from doing some other experiments. So I made an apple crisp cheesecake and it turned out so delicious. So let's get started. So for this, I did it in a 9x13, so you need 3 packs of cream cheese. And I make up extra of my doughs and stuff for future use. So when I made graham crackers, I made a bunch and I put them into Ziplocs into the freezer. So I already have graham crackers that I'm going to make into crumbs, mix in a little bit of butter and get into my pan. First, we got to start out with chopping our chayote squash and cooking it in a pot, just like our apple spice cake. We're going to do the same thing, and then this is going to go on top of the cheesecake. We're going to need a pound of chayote squash cooked. We're just going to cook all that we have left, which is 2.5 chayote squash. Oh, there's a huge core in it. Get out. Anything that's rotten, take out. I've had this chayote squash in my fridge for a couple of weeks. So, gotta do what you gotta do. This is one of the last videos I'm filming at the bakery. So don't know when you're going to see this, but I figure get as much shot as I can before baby comes. I hate these cutting boards. These are just what was here. She cuts on metal tables, which is why I had to buy new knives. Hers were not sharp. What I usually do is put a wet rag underneath this. Makes it easier. Doesn't slide around so much. This one definitely don't look so pretty. I did weigh this beforehand with the cores in it, and it was over a pound, so pretty sure when it's all cooked, we'll have about a pound. To this, I'm going to add some allulose and cinnamon and a little bit of water and get it stewing down. We want it pretty much cooked through. I'm just going to do 3/4 of a cup. Teaspoon of cinnamon. Put a little bit of water in there just to moisten it up. Get it cooking. And keep an eye on that and just keep stirring it. Now onto our cheesecake base. Last time I didn't spray it and I was nervous, but it came out fine. I think I broke 1 or 2 pieces. That went home to my husband, but try not to do that this time. So this is 1 batch of my graham crackers. We're gonna pulverize it up and mix it with some butter. You can do it in a food processor, but like I said in my gadget video, I really don't like pulling it out for very much. Especially when you can like do most stuff without it. I already have my oven preheated to 350 to cook the crust a little bit. Rolling pin works wonders. Just like in my Mexican wedding cake cookies. Yeah. Mostly broken up. Now, in the first pastry job I had, we used to make crusts for like 5 different cheesecakes at a time. We would just put this right into the pan, mix butter in, and pat it down. So I would never like measure the butter. I would just pour it in until it was like a patable consistency and like would make a crust. So I have like 3-ish tablespoons of butter here. I'm gonna melt. We gotta stir our squash though. That's good. And you can make your crust as big as you want, as thick as you want. I like my crusts a little bit thinner. You can do whatever you want. You can also use any kind of just keto cookies for this. You don't have to use my graham crackers. I also have an almond crust recipe on my channel for my raspberry white chocolate cheesecake. So I've done a bunch of different crusts. You can also use the Oreo cookie batter. You can make into a cheesecake crust. Okay, we're gonna bake this for just a couple of minutes just to solidify and brown up a tiny bit, and then we'll let it cool and we'll get onto the filling. Crust is out of the oven. It's just getting golden around the edges. Squash is cooking away, getting nice and soft. We're also making a crumble topping, so I'm gonna get that ready to go. This is my original crumble topping. And a lot of people don't want to use oat fiber. I did find, if you watch my original recipe that had this in it, it was my strawberry rhubarb crisp. I mentioned you can use egg white protein instead of the oat fiber, or you can use coconut flour, I believe, but they both add carbs. So you just gotta keep in mind. I always insist you guys figure out your own macros, just because your ingredients might be a little bit different than mine. You never know. This is just a single batch. Let's give this a mix. We just gotta add 6 tablespoons of melted butter. I mentioned in a couple other videos that oat fiber can have different absorption rates, so you might not need a whole stick of butter like my original recipe said. All depends on your oat fiber. Setting that to the side for now, and we're gonna get started on the filling next. I already got my 3 blocks of cream cheese that are waiting to go in. They're a little bit not soft yet, so I have them on my dehydrator with it on its lowest setting. But what you can do is throw it on your stove top where the heat's coming out of your oven vent, and that will soften your cream cheese pretty quickly. So right now I'm just getting a teaspoon of cinnamon and our sweetener for cheesecake filling. 144 grams or 3/4 of a cup. Teaspoon of cinnamon. You can add however much cinnamon you want. If you want to add other spices, cardamom or ginger or anything, feel free. I got that ready, and then I have a 1.5 cups of sour cream, and then I've had my eggs out since I got here, so they're not quite room temperature, but they're warmer than refrigerator temperature. That's everything for our filling. And then we'll do a little bit of vanilla extract too. You want to just cook this until the squash is soft. It takes quite a while, but I think it's just about there. So I'm going to turn it off. Let that cool while we get the rest of the stuff ready. Okay, I got my 3 blocks of cream cheese in there. I'm gonna beat the crap out of this until it's light and fluffy. Add the sweetener and beat some more until it's not grainy anymore. That's the best way to get a super smooth, creamy, light and fluffy keto cheesecake. You're obviously going to want to scrape down several times because the inside is going to get nice and soft and whipped, and stuff on the outside is not. Still thick, not light and fluffy. I already took out the squash. I didn't use all the juice. I took most of it out and weighed out. I was just shy of a pound. So I would say 3 Chayote squash should do you. But I did the macros with 1 pound of cooked Chayote squash. So just keep that in mind and save this for a drizzle on top if you'd like. Or it's really good just like as a pancake syrup. Okay, it took a couple minutes, but it's super creamy. This can also be done in a food processor. This would take like 2 seconds in a food processor. But I just hate lugging out my big guy for making a cheesecake. But if you have it right on your countertop, use that. That will be your smoothest cheesecake ever because that thing beats the cream cheese and the sweetener so well. We're gonna beat this until it's no longer grainy. Okay, so there's no longer graininess in there. I'm going to add in 1 egg at a time, scrape down in between each addition, add the sour cream, add a tablespoon of vanilla, and then we're going to get it into the pan. You want this all really uniform. The worst thing is getting a hunk of cream cheese when you eat your cheesecake. I see that this isn't like super combined, so I'm not going to add that in there. Missed the paddle in some spots. You might have some hunks of cream cheese. Someone commented on me scraping every last bit out of the bowl. There's 2 reasons for that. One, it's all counted in your macros, so guess what? I'm getting it all. And another reason is it makes doing dishes a lot easier if you don't have a bunch of extra batter sitting on your bowls and spatulas and all that stuff. Makes it a lot easier. And I have to do my own dishes here, so less crap on my bowls, the better. I'm gonna smooth this out, make sure it's nice and even. If it isn't an even batter, you're gonna have some cooked and some not, so definitely want it even. Get like a little shimmy shimmy. Now for our squash. I just layered it on the cheesecake. Ooh, hot. Still a little warm. Oh, too much. Try not to do that. If you put too much on, it will sink. You want it kind of on top of the cheesecake. Don't have enough to cover it either. Clump it too much. It looks good. Put it over there. Try to get it as spread out as evenly as possible. Not too much liquid on top. And then I got my crumble here. I melted 6 tablespoons of butter. I'm pretty sure that's what I'll need. Mix it together until it's a crumbly consistency. Need a little bit more. And right on top. Nice and even. You can always do more of this stuff if you want. I'm going to cut this into 18 pieces. I'll show you how I do that to make it not look like a tiny piece of cheesecake. But if you do that, it's 3 grams of net carbs. Cream cheese does have carbs in it. I'm going to throw this in at 350. I didn't write down how long it took last time, but most of my cheesecakes take 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to do 15, turn it, and maybe another 15. I'm going to do another 15. It's a little bit jiggly in the middle. Almost done, I think. So I'll let that go for a little while longer, but I think it's just about there. Okay, the crumble's getting all crusty on top, so we're gonna pull this guy out and let it cool for a while. Fortunately, we gotta let it cool completely and then refrigerate it, and then we can slice into it. So it's gonna be a while, unfortunately. It looks delicious. Apple crisp cheesecake. It's time to cut the cheesecake. Now, my last one looked a lot better, and that's the problem with me just winging things. I don't always take the best of notes. But I had to use up the Chayote squash, I had cream cheese, I had my graham cracker crust, and I wanted to make one, and I wanted to show you guys the recipe. So, probably still gonna taste really good, but I'm thinking maybe I didn't put the squash on it before I baked it. I might have baked it for a little while and then put the squash and crumble on. I can't remember. Now, of course, you can cut this into however many you want, but to keep the carb count down, I do 3 by 3. Can we really see that? No. How we did it in a lot of banquets. We do like that. And you can't really see that. I can barely see it, but I'll show you. My cheesecake is really soft. I have a pitcher of hot water here. Crumble makes a nice crust on top. So you have a piece like that, and then take it and you cut it on a diagonal. So you have a nice triangle of cheesecake. Now, will I be able to get this out in one piece? We shall see. Need to get a plate and fork first. We did spray it, but never know. Yeah. First piece is always the hardest. Get back together. Yeah, not so pretty. Problem with not having pie spatula. Might have to sacrifice another one, bring it home for my husband. He loved the last one. See if I can get a clean slice out. We'll put this one in to go for my hubby. Let's try that again. Just don't have anything I can get underneath the whole crust with. And now that I have a big section out, it'll be easy to get those out. I did save my syrup. It's time to try him. Cheesecake also could have chilled a little while longer. I just took the temperature of the internal slice here and it was still 60 degrees. So it's also not completely set. So I'm going to pop this back into the refrigerator. It's important before you slice that it's nice and solid. Time to try some of this stuff. I think I might have gotten a bite of my husband's when I brought it home, but he ate most of it. It's really good. It tastes like you're eating apple crisp on top of cheesecake. Because the apples are nice and like squishy. Well, the squash are nice and squishy, full of cinnamon. So good. And the crumble is nice and crunchy on top. Gives it a nice crunch. Which is what I think the top of cheesecake needs. Like I like putting like peanuts or some kind of nut or seed on top of my cheesecakes. It's so good. My cheesecake is just super creamy. It's not like a dense cheesecake. It's real light. I love my crumble topping. So crunchy. Well, if you guys are a cheesecake lover and you love apple crisp, I would definitely give this a try. It is so good. If you give it a try for Christmas, let me know in the comments below how everyone enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out my Amazon links and the blog link to the full recipe in the description box below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And as always, I'll be back many more keto dessert recipes. Bye guys. By the time you see this, we might be out of here.